Hi everyone, Rebecca here, Regulated Canadian Immigration Consultant and Operations Manager here at Moving to Canada. Today we're talking about the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme and calls to end it immediately. Now these calls are coming from many places, including leaders from the Conservative and NDP governments, so it's very serious. Now this is coming at a time where Canada's youth unemployment is at a record high at 14.5% in July and August, which is the highest it's been since 2010, excluding the pandemic times. And it's also coming at a time where recent polls show that 44% of Canadians support eliminating the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme as a measure to address youth unemployment. So with the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme being so closely tied to youth unemployment, we wanted to take the time to really go into what the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme is and whether stopping it would actually help youth unemployment. So with that, what is the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme? The Temporary Foreign Worker Programme allows Canadian companies to hire on a temporary basis foreign workers when they cannot find a Canadian to do that job. Often the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme work permits are accompanied by something called a labour market impact assessment, which kind of assess the position to see, okay, do we think there is a Canadian available, yes or no? It's important to know that when you're looking at the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme, that is only one way that a foreign worker can come to Canada and work. In fact, in 2024, it accounted for only 20% of all work permits. The other route that people can come and work in Canada is referred to as the International Mobility Programme, and that covers programs like the postgraduate work permit. It includes spouses of skilled workers and certain students working in Canada. It includes the International Experience Class, and it also covers some international agreement work permits. And so this category made up 80% of workers in 2024. And then there's also a good portion of international students that can work whilst they're in Canada without a work permit. So all that to say is that if we're looking at kind of foreign nationals as a whole in Canada, the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme at best accounts for 20% of those workers. So ending the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme might not be kind of this magic bullet that's going to fix youth unemployment challenges that Canada's facing right now. That's not to say that there is no need for reform for the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme. Exploitation and fraud is absolutely an issue within this programme, but ending it is extreme, and considering it only counts for a very small minority of workers, it may not have the sought after impact. So ending the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme is unlikely to fully solve the youth unemployment rate in Canada right now. Youth unemployment is incredibly complex and has multiple causes. A Desjardins report suggested that it's kind of this mixture of issues that's causing it, including economic slowdown, the rise of cost of living, automation and AI changing the job scene for youth in Canada. So what can be done with the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme? Rather than ending the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme completely, the better move would be to make changes to the programme. So like the prevailing wage, it's unlikely that Canadians will work for the same rate as foreign workers. They will likely demand more of a wage. The whole point behind the prevailing wage provision within the labour market impact assessment is that you pay the prevailing wage of what a Canadian would earn. I don't think that the prevailing wage is an accurate reflection of what a Canadian is willing to earn. Therefore, increasing this prevailing wage would make the position more attractive to Canadians. So that might be one way that you can encourage Canadians, encourage youth to apply for these positions and take these jobs. In addition to modifying the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme, they could also modify the other types of foreign workers in Canada. For instance, right now, and I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, I'm suggesting it as an option, international students can work 24 hours a week off campus during term time without a work permit. So if they were to place more restrictions on that or the type of work they can do, that might help the youth unemployment rate get more youth into kind of these entry-level jobs, which are very beneficial for youth workers. Irrespective of what happens in the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme, I do think there needs to be better communication. So one thing that I find really worrying is the poll that suggests around 44% of Canadians want the Temporary Foreign Worker Programme to be eliminated. This suggests that people don't really fully comprehend how foreign workers come to Canada and work. I'm not sure if they knew that only 20% of temporary foreign workers made up the whole foreign worker pool, whether they would have the same kind of opinion. So maybe there needs to be more effort into the communication of what a foreign worker is, how they have the ability to work in Canada. There also needs to be better data gathering on which temporary foreign worker roles are overlapping with youth unemployment. Is there an overlap? Are temporary foreign workers taking the jobs traditionally taken by youth workers? Unless that data is clear cut, it's hard to kind of correlate between the two. And of course, like strengthening labour protections, improving working conditions, perhaps incentives for employers to hire more Canadians will also help more Canadians, specifically youth, enter the Canadian labour market. An interesting concept could be to introduce a tiered minimum wage like they have in Australia and the UK. So minimum wage for a 15-year-old would not be the same minimum wage as a 25-year-old, because when an employer has a choice between hiring a 25-year-old with a few years of experience and a 15-year-old with no experience for the same rate, they're going to choose the 25-year-old. While this may help youth unemployment, you might just be pushing it down to the core-aged individuals, but by employing youth at, say, 15, 16 years old, they are gaining experience which will be invaluable to them when it comes to later on in their career. Working when you're young gives you so many skills that are applicable in the future. So what can you do with this information? If you are a temporary foreign worker in Canada, I can only imagine that you're very concerned right now with what's going to happen. Are you going to be booted out? Are you going to be able to extend your status? The best thing you can do is to remain up to date with changes. If you want, you sign up for our newsletter. We report on things as they happen and try and really give you the perspective of what you need to know from what's happening. So sign up for our newsletter. That would be a great place to start. So thank you for joining me today. And as always, subscribe to our newsletter and let us know in the comments if you found this helpful.